Good morning, students. So in this session we will start with the new topic. So we are studying third unit of CS2, and in the third unit of CS2, in the last lecture we have studied about hardware and software. What is hardware, what is software, what comes under hardware and what comes under software. After that we have started with PC specification. So what is PC and what are the features that we have to study regarding the PC. So that all comes under PC specification. So in this topic we have already studied about processors, gigahertz, then we have studied about RAM, storage, hard disk drive, solid state drives. We have seen some examples of solid state drive and hard disk drive. So that was all that we have already covered in the last session. Tomorrow we will start with remaining parts of the PC specification. So after RAM, storage, the next thing that comes under PC specification is motherboard. Now what is motherboard? I hope all of you must know about the motherboard. So the motherboard is the main circuit board of your computer, and it is also known as the main board or the logic board. Now why it is known as logic board? Because all the logics are present on the motherboard. So if you ever open your computer, the biggest piece of silicon you see is the motherboard. So attached to the motherboard, you will find all the main components are attached to the motherboard. So attached to the motherboard, you will find the CPU, ROM, memory, RAM, expansion slots, PCI slots and USB ports. So all these things are attached to the motherboard. It also includes controllers like hard drive, DVD drive, keyboard and mouse. So every type of controller is required to control different types of operations. So all the controllers are also present on the motherboard. So basically the motherboard is what makes everything in your computer work together. So that is motherboard. Next thing that comes under PC specification is graphics card. Now what is graphics card? For more basic computer users, the integrated graphics features that are packaged with your system are quite acceptable for web browsing, non-3D games, watching videos and more. Now I hope again you all of you must know why we use graphic cards: to attain the advanced features of the gaming zone and to watch videos and you can say, and you can also use this to specify your professional needs or professional requirements. So this is the reason why we make use of graphic cards. So if your computer calls for intensive gaming and complex 3D applications, so installing a graphics card from a leading manufacturer can significantly impact your performance and gaming experience. So this is the reason why we make use of graphics card. So with the help of graphics card, you can use intensive games, you can make use of and you can play 3D complex applications, and apart from that there are many features that you can fulfill with the graphics card. So that is graphics card. Next thing that comes under PC specification is power supply. Now what is power supply? Your system will need a power supply to run the processor, cooling fans and storage. So don't underestimate the power needed. Next thing that comes under PC specification is peripherals. So what are peripherals? All the input-output devices comes under peripherals. So you will need the usual mouse, keyboard, monitor and such items as gaming controllers. So that all comes under peripherals. So with this student, we have completed this topic, that is PC specification. So I hope it is clear to you that what are the things that has to be that has to be right or that has to be written under PC specification. So whenever you get a question like what is PC specification and what are the features that are required to specify a PC, and even whenever you go to a market to buy a PC, you have to check all these features. So inside the PC specification, we have studied processor, gigahertz, that is speed of the computer. How we have to check the speed of the computer, then RAM, storage medias, then motherboard, graphics card, power supply and the peripherals. So all these things comes under PC specification. So after that, after this topic, we are going to start with next topic of this unit. In this unit, all the topics are interrelated to each other, because in this topic we are studying very basic features of the PC and what are the things that we use while using PC, as we have already studied hardware and software. So we have to study all the basic things which are related to PC. So the next topic is memory. Now what is memory? A memory is just like a human brain, as we all have memory. Now why we use memory? To store the things, to retrieve the things whenever it is required. So it is just used to store data and instructions. So let's talk about computer memory. Computer memory is the storage space in the computer where data is to be processed and instructions required for processing are stored. So this is the place where we store data and where we also store instructions that needs to be processed. Memory refers to the processes that are used to acquire, store, retain and later retrieve information. So that is memory. So after this basic introduction of memory, we will study different types of memory. So let's start with conventional memory. Now what is conventional memory? In DOS operating system memory management, conventional memory was also known as base memory, because it is the first 640 kilobytes of the memory of IBM PC and compatible systems. So it is the read-write memory directly addressable by the processor for use by the operating system and application programs. So as the memory prices rapidly declined, so this design decision became a limitation in the use of large memory capacities until the introduction of operating system and processors that made it irrelevant. So once modern devices were developed and the systems were developed with different types of memory, so that memory was considered as irrelevant part of the memory. So the next category was expanded memory. So as the word is expanded, so basically the meaning of this is how we can expand the memory. So in DOS operating system memory management, expanded memory is a system of bank switching that provided additional memory to DOS programs beyond the limit of conventional memory. So if we have less memory, so we can extend that memory by using this type of memory, expanded memory. So look at the diagram. This is an example of expanded memory. The memory which is represented in yellow color, that is expanded memory pages, whereas the memory which was already available, that is conventional memory. So we can easily expand the memory. Next category of the memory is extended memory. Now what is extended memory? So in DOS memory management, extended memory refers to memory above the first megabyte of address space in an IBM PC or compatible with 80286 microprocessors or later processors. So this is just a name of a microprocessor 80286. So the term is mainly used under the DOS and the Windows operating system. DOS programs running in real mode or virtual 8086 mode cannot directly access this memory. See, they cannot directly access this memory, but they are able to do so through the application programming interface, through the API which is known as extended memory specification. So basically extended memory specification provides an interface how we can use the memory. So this API is implemented by a driver or the operating system which takes care of memory management and copying memory between the conventional and the extended memory by temporarily switching the processor into protected mode. So it also provides switching mechanism, that how we can switch from one place to another and how we can access the memory. So basically it provides interface. So in this context, the term extended memory may refer to either the whole of the extended memory or only the portion available through this API. So that is extended memory. So there is a difference between expanded memory and extended memory. There is a lot of difference between both the memories, expanded and extended. Now let's start with next category, RAM. So what is RAM? This is random access memory. This is a very high speed memory. This is a high speed component in devices that temporarily stores all the information a device needs for present as well as for future. So it is a type of memory which provides temporary storage. So it's a type of computer memory that can be randomly accessed. So we can access it randomly. We are not specific that we have to access it in a specific manner. We can access it in a random way. So this is the advantage. So RAM is found in servers, PC, tablets, smartphones and many other devices. So in today's technology, RAM takes the form of IC chips with metal oxide semiconductors, and we also call it as MOS memory cells, MOS memory cells. In the last lecture, we have studied different families where we have studied CMOS, NMOS, PMOS. So they are very closely related to this technology. So the speed and the performance of a system is directly correlated with the amount of the RAM installed. The speed and the performance is directly proportional to the size of the RAM. I hope you all must know this. Whenever you go to a market to buy a PC or to buy a phone, your cost is also directly proportional to the amount of the RAM, because the speed and the performance of the system depends on these mechanisms. So RAM stores the information the computer is actively using so that it can be accessed quickly. So it allows computers to perform everyday tasks such as loading of applications, browsing the internet, editing a spreadsheet and switching quickly among all these tasks. So these all are the features of RAM. Next is categories of RAM or types of RAM. So basically we have two main types of RAM that contrast in both performance and price range. So these two forms are static RAM and dynamic RAM, SRAM and DRAM. So let's talk about static RAM access memory. A memory chip that is faster and uses less power than the dynamic RAM. The main advantage of this is a very fast and it uses very less power. So this is a very power efficient technique. Next is dynamic random memory access, that is DRAM. A memory chip that can hold more data than SRAM chip, but it requires more power. So the main advantage of this technology is it has more capacity as compared to SRAM, but it consumes more power. So this is not power efficient, whereas SRAM is power efficient. So these are the two categories of RAM. Next is ROM. So what is ROM? So whenever we study RAM, we have to study ROM because all these are the main memories of the computer. So what is ROM? ROM stands for read-only memory, and this is a memory device or a storage medium that stores information permanently. So this is the main difference between RAM and ROM. So it is called read-only memory as we can only read the programs and the data stored on it, but we cannot write on it. So this is the drawback. So it is restricted. It is designed in such a way that you can only read, you cannot perform write operation. But nowadays we have facility that we can write by using ROM. So it is restricted to reading words that are permanently stored within the unit. The manufacturer of the ROM fills the programs into the ROM at the time of the manufacturing the ROM. So after this, the content of the ROM can't be altered, which means you cannot reprogram it, you cannot rewrite it, or you cannot erase the contents later. So these all are the basic features of ROM. However, there are some types of ROM where you can modify the data. So as I have told you that nowadays we have facility that we can make changes or we can modify the data. So we will study this in the next slide. So there are different categories of ROM which are available. So let's start with the very first category, PROM, that is programmable ROM. The full form of PROM is programmable read-only memory. This is a memory chip on which data can be written only once. So you can write data. There is a facility that you can write data, but only once. So once a program has been written into the PROM, it remains there forever. So unlike RAM, PROMs retain their contents whenever the computer is turned off. This is the reason that this is non-volatile. So the difference between a PROM and a ROM is that a PROM is manufactured as a blank memory, whereas ROM is programmed during the manufacturing process. So this is the main difference between PROM and ROM. Next category of ROM is EPROM. EPROM stands for Erasable Programmable ROM, Erasable Programmable Read-Only Memory. So EPROM is a special type of memory that retains its contents until it is exposed to ultraviolet light. In this we make use of ultraviolet light. So the ultraviolet light clears its contents, making it possible to reprogram the memory. Next category of ROM is EEPROM, Electronically Erasable PROM, and we also call it as Electrically Erasable Programmable Read-Only Memory. So this is a special type of PROM that can be erased by exposing it to an electrical charge. So in this we make use of electronic charge to erase the contents. So with this, students, we have finished with the different categories of memory. So in today's lecture, we have studied about the basic definition of the memory. After that, we have studied conventional memory, expanded memory, extended memory, RAM, types of RAM, ROM, and different categories of ROM, where we have studied PROM, EPROM and EEPROM. So these all are the different categories of ROM. So students, that's all for today. Tomorrow we will start with the next topic of this unit, of this third unit. So that's all for today.